Hi, it's Amy from Cakes with Faces. Now, if you're visiting Nagoya for the Studio Ghibli Park, there are lots of other things to do while you're there. So today I'm going to show you some of them, including some famous places and some less well-known places, including a Coco curry museum. And if you're planning a trip to Japan, my travel guide has 300 pages of ideas for things to do, practical tips about how to get by in Japan, and help with booking everything yourself. You can get it from cakeswithfaces.co.uk with worldwide shipping. The link's in the description. So Nagoya is Japan's fourth largest city. Before I went there, I didn't really know that much about it. All I'd really heard was that people say it's a boring city. And I thought, can that really be true? And actually, there are lots of things to do there and lots of reasons to visit. There's even a blog called Nagoya is Not Boring, which is actually really useful. It's such an easy place to add to your Japan trip. It's on the main bullet train line between Tokyo and Kyoto and Osaka. I've zoomed through it so many times on the shinkansen, and it wasn't until earlier this year that I stopped to see what's there. It's only an hour and 45 minutes from Tokyo on the shinkansen. It's about 45 minutes from Kyoto and just under an hour from Osaka, so it's a really easy trip. So on to what there is to do. First is the SC Maglev and Railway Park. If you've seen my video, you'll already know I enjoyed it so much. There's a lot about bullet trains and how the whole Shinkansen network runs, which is really fascinating. There's also a section about the new Maglev trains, magnetically levitating trains. The new line scheduled to open between Tokyo and Nagoya in 2027. I can't believe it's so soon. It's going to be even faster than the Shinkansen. The exhibition explains how it works in a really understandable, non-boring way with lots of things to play on and lots of buttons to press. There are also lots of trains you can go inside and an amazing diorama that I could watch for ages. I spent way longer there than I expected. There's so much to see. If you like Japanese trains even a little bit, you'll definitely enjoy it. It's half an hour on the train from the main Nagoya station. Next are the Nabana no Sato Illuminations. Now in Japan there are lots of beautiful nighttime illuminations in the winter, and there's a huge one in Nagoya at Nabana no Sato Flower Park. It's on for quite a long time, from late October until late May, so there's a good chance you'll be able to catch it, even if most of the other winter illuminations have finished. It's huge and absolutely beautiful, with millions of twinkling LEDs. Nabana no Sato is a flower park that's open all year round, so even when the illuminations aren't on, you can still visit that. The park is a half-hour train from the main Nagoya station to Nagashima station. From there it's a 2-kilometre walk, or you can take the bus. Near the flower park is a theme park with rides called Nagashima Spa Land, which is home to Steel Dragon 2000, the longest roller coaster in the world. It's a giga coaster, it's absolutely huge. It's also the 5th tallest steel coaster in the world. The theme park has lots of rides. There is a big variety and some of them are for kids, so they're not all as intense as Steel Dragon 2000. There's also a water park called Joyful Water Park with water slides and a wave pool in the summer. Also in this area, there's a hot spring bath complex called Nagashima Onsen Yuami no Shima. There are 17 different indoor and outdoor baths you can go in. They're separated by gender and they're made to look like natural scenery from around Japan. It looks lovely, and it's a way to have an onsen experience in the city and try out lots of different types of baths. But if you want a more traditional, truly authentic onsen experience, Gero Onsen is a lovely hot spring town that's only 1 hour 40 minutes away by train, or Takayama is 2.5 hours away in the countryside. Nagoya is also home to Legoland Japan. It's actually right next to the Maglev Museum. Like the other Legolands around the world, it's mainly aimed at kids, with small rides, model villages made of Lego, and there's a factory tour about how Lego bricks are made. Legoland is close enough to Nagoya that you don't need to stay there. It's only half an hour on the train, but if you want to, there is a hotel that is so colourful. The rooms are themed, the lifts have disco lights and party music, and even the pool has Lego brick shaped floats. It looks so much fun. And the final thing to do in this area of Nagoya is an aquarium called Sea Life Nagoya. It's quite small, it's not one of Japan's major aquariums, but it's another thing to do there. You can get combined tickets for Sea Life and Legoland. Next is Nagoya Castle, which is a large Japanese castle. You should know that the main keep is being demolished in 2024. They're rebuilding it to make it more earthquake proof, and it'll be reopening in 2028. But while that's shut, you can still look around the castle palace and see the luxurious reception rooms and artwork. And there's also the castle grounds and gardens, which are a good spot for cherry blossoms. If you're going in the autumn, just outside Nagoya, there's a unique place where you can see cherry blossoms and autumn leaves at the same time. So if you can't decide which you want to see in Japan, here you can see both. The four-season Cherry Blossom Festival is in Obara Furai Park in November. It has thousands of shikizakura trees which bloom twice a year, in spring and in autumn. I should mention the park is a bit of a pain to get to on public transport, with several changes on the subway and a bus. So if you want to go, it will be an adventure. Next is the Nagoya City Science Museum, which is in this really cool looking building. Inside the giant globe, there's a planetarium. There's also dinosaurs, an actual tornado you can see right in front of you, and you can see a giant lightning bolt of electricity. Now, if you're in Nagoya for the Studio Ghibli Park, you'll definitely like this theme cafe. It's called Osu no Mori Cafe Kodama. It is unofficial, but it has a lot of heart. It's full of Ghibli memorabilia and plushies, and the food is so well themed. There's a calcifer bacon and egg set, a straw hat omu rice, and a Totoro dessert served in a flower pot. Another permanent theme cafe in Nagoya is Penguin Cafe Osu. It's another homemade DIY style theme cafe full of penguin plushies and decorations. There's super cute themed food like penguin afternoon tea, hot drinks with penguin marshmallows and penguin donuts. I'd love to open a cafe like this, but mine would have a hamster theme. As Nagoya is a major city, it often gets temporary pop-up theme cafes as well. I keep a list of them that I update regularly. It's on my website cakeswithfaces.co.uk in the blog section. Both of those theme cafes are in an area of Nagoya called Osu, which is the main shopping district. There's a large temple there called Osu Kanon. There's also a long covered shopping street, a traditional Japanese shotengai, and lots of street food. This area, Osu, also has lots of shops with anime and manga merch. Now, when I first went to Japan, I thought Akihabara in Tokyo was the only place for that sort of thing. But actually, lots of cities around Japan have their own otaku culture shops. Nagoya has Super Potato, the retro game shop. There's Mandarake, Animate, an official Ghibli shop, a Pokemon Center, and much more. There's even maid cafes. I've always found that outside Tokyo, these places are a lot less busy, and especially in the second-hand shops, you can find some real bargains and some hidden treasures. And in the summer, in July or August, Nagoya also hosts the World Cosplay Summit. Another shopping centre is Oasis 21, which is really futuristic looking. It's known as Spaceship Aqua because the top part is filled with water. There's a park and the shopping mall section is underground. You can go up and walk on top of the spaceship section, which is lit up at night, so it's a good place to go in the evening. From there you can get a view of Nagoya TV Tower, which is the oldest tower in Japan, and that also has an observation deck. Now I've got a few more unusual things to do in Nagoya that you don't hear so much about. If you know my channel, you'll know I'm a big fan of Coco curry, and in Nagoya there's a Coco curry museum. It's in Nishi-Biwajima, which is where the very first Coco curry opened in 1978. It's quite small, but for Coco curry fans, you can see old uniforms, menus, and artifacts from Coco curry history. It's in a room above the restaurant. And how amazing is it to sit down and have a meal at the very first original Coco curry? Next is something quite unusual called the Site of Reversible Destiny. It was built by artists and architects to explore architecture and construct environments that can challenge the body as a way to overcome death and to reverse our destinies. It's like a round park that's in the shape of a bowl. The idea is nothing is exactly horizontal or vertical vertical. It's built to disorientate you. It looks like something really different. It has kind of mind-bending optical illusions and unusual places to go around. Some of the spots include the Zone of Clearest Confusion, the Geographical Ghost, and the Imaging Navel. It's in a large park called Yoro Park, which also has play parks, mini golf, a shrine and a waterfall. It's slightly outside the main city of Nagoya, so it takes an hour and a half to get there on the train. You do have to change trains, but it's so unusual that it could just be worth it. Next, for fans of lucky cats, there's the Seto City Maneki Neko Museum. This is also on the edge of the city, so it's not that quick to get there from the centre of Nagoya. It has 5,000 lucky cats, so many. You can also paint one yourself, and in the cafe, the tea is served in cat-shaped teapots. How cute. And finally, on our list of unusual things to do in Nagoya, you can go on a factory night cruise. Now, Nagoya is quite an industrial city, and there are lots of factories along the water that they've lit up at night. So they've turned something that would normally be thought of as something ugly into something beautiful. And you can go on an hour-long boat cruise to enjoy the view in the evening. Now, on to the local specialities. Each region of Japan has its own special foods that it's become known for. So here are the local specialities of Nagoya. First is miso katsu. It's a pork cutlet that's fried in panko breadcrumbs, served with a red miso sauce, full of flavour and savoury umami. The local noodles are called kishimen. They're large and flat, kind of a cross between udon and pasta. Ogura toast is a classic Nagoya breakfast. It's thick, fluffy shokupan, that's Japanese bread, that's toasted and served with sweet red bean paste and butter on top. It's usually served in a set with coffee. Pyorin is a really popular cake in the shape of a chick. It's super cute. The name comes from pio pio, which is the sound a chick makes in Japanese, and purin, pyorin, pio pio. It's made of egg pudding, vanilla cream and sponge cake. There are special seasonal varieties like Halloween pyorin and of course Sakura pyorin. Pyorin is kind of a mascot for Nagoya. That's why the local IC card, Toika, has chicks on it. It's basically the same as a Suica card, but even more kawaii. Next is hitsumabushi, which is a rice bowl with eel that's cooked in a sweet soy sauce. What makes it different is the way you eat it. It's a multi-stage procedure. You eat it in quarters. The first quarter, just the eel and the rice. The second quarter, you add condiments like spring onions, wasabi or sansho pepper. The third quarter, you add some broth, which turns it into a kind of soup risotto. And then the fourth quarter, you eat however you want, with broth, condiments, both, however you want. And finally, there's ebi fry. Now, you find fried shrimp all around Japan, but in Nagoya, they're giant. Instead of tempura batter, they're coated in crispy panko breadcrumbs. I was really surprised how many local specialities there are in Nagoya, and also how you don't really hear about them that much. Tell me in the comments which ones you'd like to try. Now, how to get around Nagoya. There are several local train lines and a subway or metro with 6 lines, and that's the best way to get around. Just like in Tokyo, all the signs you need are in English, so it's really easy to navigate. You can use your Suica or Passmo card from Tokyo, or get the local Toika IC card with the chicks. On my channel, there's a room tour of the hotel I stayed in earlier this year, the Nagoya Marriott Associa. It's a lovely hotel right on the station, and the views are stunning. It's like staying in an observation deck. And finally, Nagoya is where the train line branches off towards Gifu. So after visiting the city of Nagoya, you could travel towards Gero Onsen, Takayama, and the historic villages in Gifu. There are lots of really interesting countryside places around there. From there, you could continue to Kanazawa and maybe loop round to Kyoto and Osaka. Or you could go around the Japanese Alps through the Alpine route with the snow walls and on to Matsumoto. There are regional passes from Japan Railways, JR Central, that cover both of these trips that cost less than the full JR pass for the whole of Japan. So they're just some ideas for your Japan itinerary. Nagoya is so easy to get to from both Tokyo and Osaka. The bullet train trip really doesn't seem long at all, and it is really comfortable. So you can travel between them and still have lots of time to do something else on the same day. You're not going to lose a day as a travel day. So I hope that gives you some ideas for your Japan trip, whether you're visiting Nagoya for the Studio Ghibli Park or you just want somewhere new to explore in Japan that doesn't take too long to get to. If you've been to Nagoya, tell me what you thought in the comments and what your favourites were. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.